Today we'll be starting off with JavaScript. What all things we are going to talk when you're starting off a language is data types. What are the data types a language supports? So this is the common statement you can give. Data types the language supports, and what else? How you declare variables. First thing, data types and variables. So for running JavaScript, what is that you need? You can actually execute JavaScript code using a browser, like what you did for HTML. That is done. That is fine. But what I have done here is, instead of using a browser, I have installed Node.js in my system. I've created a .js file, and I can run my JavaScript code directly here without a browser, so that you'll be able to see the output on the console. Like how you might have worked with Eclipse, you run the code, you'll be seeing the output in the console, right? The same kind of thing here. So we'll first understand the entire concepts of JavaScript. We'll run the code here, and then we'll use this with an HTML web page, maybe in the next class. So we'll start off with data types and how to declare variables in JavaScript. So how you declare a variable is, you can use this keyword var. That's the keyword, and you can give a variable name, and you can assign some value. So this way of declaration, they say it's outdated. This was something that was followed before 2015. After 2015, they have come out with another keyword, let. But before going on to let, we'll see how this keyword works. So variable x is equal to 2, and you want to log something to the console. You have to use console.log. I will use this shortcut CLG and press enter, so it completes it for me. And you can give the variable name. This is something like system.out.println you did with Java. And you save this, and how I run this code here is Control Alt N. So you'll be able to see the output to the right. So you see the output is 2. So you can declare a variable, you can print the variable to the console. Now, when you have declared a variable, you can also redeclare it when you use var. So you can also redeclare it like this, and no need to have a semicolon at the end of the statements in JavaScript. It is not mandatory, but by mistake you give a semicolon, it's not going to be a mistake. It will run the code. Let's run it now. So here I am redeclaring this variable, and that is allowed when you are going to use this keyword var. Redeclaration of a variable is allowed. Redeclaration is again declaring var x is equal to 3. So that is allowed. So if you run this code, you'll be able to see now the value of x to be 3. Redeclaration is possible. See, 3. And variable is not going to have any block scope. What do you mean by a block scope? Say I create a block, open to parenthesis, and say variable x is equal to 4. Now, what will be the value of x when I run this code? Will it be 4 or 3? I told it's not having a block scope. Let's run this. Let's check. You see, it is 4. So you're able to access this variable outside the block, which you may not be able to do if a variable is having block scope. So this usage is pretty outdated. They are not using it now. What is that is replacing this keyword var is let. Now you declare a variable like this, let x is equal to 2. And you're going to get the same kind of an output. You see on the right hand side, you'll be able to see this output 2. So on the console, you have this icon, which when you click, the auto scrolling will happen for your output, and also you can clear the output by clicking on this icon. What are things that you have to be cautious when you are using let is, you cannot redeclare a variable like this. Redeclaration is not permitted using let. And what other things let takes up? This let takes up block scope. Say I perform let x is equal to 4. This is not redeclaration. Say this variable will be accessible only within these two parentheses, that is block scope. And this variable is accessible outside the block, right? So you can now check What will be the value of x printed? What will be the value of x here? 4 or 2? 2. Because this is under this block, it's not accessible outside the block. So that's how this var differs from let. But I would recommend we'll use let for all our declarations. There's one more way wherein we can declare variables. Say when you have let or var, what you can do is you can always increase. Say I can do x plus plus. What will be the value of x now? What will be the value of x? X will go to 3. So now you'll be able to see the output 3. So when you have a variable, you can update it. Well understood, right? The variable can be updated. So what is the constant? What is a constant? This is how we declare a constant, and constant x is equal to 2. So when I say it's a constant, constant cannot be updated. You can't perform x plus plus. So when you now run this, you'll be able to see some errors like assignment not possible for a constant. See some kind of an error, you get assignment to constant variable. So that is a constant. Are you clear with these things? Let, var, and constant. Now we'll move on to what kinds of data types are available. By this time you would have understood. Say how did I declare a variable let x is equal to 2? Did I give anything like string, float, int? Nothing like that. So it's dynamic typing here. So whatever data you assign, that data type will be taken up by this variable. So that is what is the key here. Say I can give let x is equal to 2. I can also give uh, x is equal to 2.14. I can perform that. I can also say x is equal to Satish. This is a string. For the same variable, you can keep on assigning different data types. So what will be the final value here? Satish will be the final value here. So this is possible in JavaScript. So what are the data types available? One is number. Number is nothing but float data type. You can think that to be of double that you used in Java. So number takes up 64-bit double precision values. So it's comparable to your double value in Java. Likewise, you have a BigInt. What is BigInt? This is also 64-bit, but it's an integer value. When you're using BigInt, you cannot use that with the math libraries in JavaScript. So these are certain things we have to understand. So string we know that we give something in quotes. Either you can give it in double quotes like this, or you can give that in single quotes like this. Both of these are strings in JavaScript. And you also have Boolean data type. How you declare Boolean is, say let x equals to false. That's Boolean, either true or false. You can also check something like this. Let me log comment this. Let me log this. Boolean, there's 3 greater than 2. So now it's going to return a Boolean result. What will be the Boolean result? That's going to be true. Let's run this code and check. You see, true. So how you declare a Boolean variable let x equals to false, true, anything like that. Okay. Are you all clear with the data types? Boolean, string, number, BigInt. There's one more data type that is possible, that is undefined. There's a thing called undefined in JavaScript. What do you mean by undefined? It's nothing but I define x, I don't assign anything to it. Now x is undefined. Now if I print x, what will be the value to the output? I just print x, it'll clear the thing, then Control Alt N. Let's run this. So you'll be able to see the value undefined getting printed here. So x is not defined. No assignment has happened to x. That is undefined. And you can also very well explicitly assign undefined to a variable. Now this will be undefined. There's one more thing, null. So we would have worked with null in Java, the same concept here. Null actually represents an object, and how you assign null to a value? Null says the value is empty and the variable will be assigned a value sometime in the future. So you can also assign null, and when I run this code, you'll be able to see the output as null. So that's one more thing. We also have objects in Java. This is another type. Object, here you can think of key value pairs or else array is one good example for an object in. I told Java, right? It's JavaScript. I'm just stuck with Java forever. So take it as JavaScript if I just leave it as Java. Fine. So variables, actually we are not going to mention whether it is string or undefined or null or anything like that. If you are not going to assign anything, it will be undefined. If you give a float value, it will be taking it as a number. That is something that will implicitly occur. So that's about data types and variable declaration in JavaScript. Now let's go to some operators. What are the operators? Basic operators: arithmetic, relational, and logical. We also have bitwise operators. So what are the arithmetic operators? All the operators: plus, multiplication, subtraction, modulus is a percentage, and then what is division? The basic. You know, I'm not going to give much examples here. Let x is equal to 2 and let y is equal to 3. So console log x plus y. Control alt 10. You'll be able to see the output as 5. So you can carry out any basic arithmetic operations. Likewise, when you talk about relational or comparison operators, what are the operators you can think of? You can think of greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, not equal to. Same operators, whatever we have used in C, even Java. JavaScript follows that, but there's this is the equality operator, comparing two things whether they are equal. And you also have one more operator here, that is this strict equality operator. They are saying this is not so strict. Why they say like that? Let me give you an example. Say, what is the use of double equals to? I can very well say 3 double equals 3. What will be the output here? The output should be true, right? 3 equals 3. We are comparing the values. So let's take a look at the output. True. But what if I perform like this? 3 within quotes, is it equivalent to 3? What will be the output here? So in JavaScript, what it does is it performs some type conversion internally and then it says true. Still, this is true because it converts 3 to 3 and then compares it. This is not strict comparison. So you want to have a strict comparison with the data types too. Then you can go with 3 equal to signs. And then now you run this, Control Alt 10. So you'll be able to see now it's going to return you the output as false. So you see, now it's false. What about logical operators? What are logical operators you can think of? And operator, or operator, not operator. If A equals B and A equals C, we can say A is equivalent to both these numbers. Something like that. If A equals B or A equals C, perform the conditions. So this is something we are very much used to, but these are the operators that are supported by JavaScript. There may be more operators which I might have missed. You can explore those things on your own. Let's move to the next concept, that is if-else statements in JavaScript. If statement in JavaScript. How do you go with if statement? Maybe I'll delete all these lines. Why we need these lines? If statement in JavaScript, exactly like what you did in C. If open parenthesis, and then let's make a comparison. 3 greater than 2, open close parenthesis, log something to the console, say 3 is greater. Save this, run this. Possible as and when clear the output log. Did it clear the output? So 3 is greater. What about an else? You can go with an else statement here, and then console log 3 is not greater, something like that. But here I'm not going to run this because it's going to say 3 is greater. So you can have an else statement, if else, very simple, like what you did in other languages. See, by mistake, it's not a mistake. I tend to give a semicolon at the end practice, so I'll try to ignore that. Is this clear? If else. Next thing we are going to see is nested if else. Nested if else statement in JavaScript, exactly like what you had in Java. So it's like you have an if statement. Say if I'll have the value of x, let x double equals let x to be 2, and if x double equals 1, what I will say is console log x is 1. Now else if, now we give another condition, if x double equals 2, what are you going to say? Open close parenthesis console log x is 2. X is not equal to 1, not equal to 2, you can do a series of else if checks. Finally, if it's not matching any of the values else, what you can say is, you can log it to the console saying x is not matching any value. Save it, run it. Okay, so x is 2. So nested if else, recommendation is don't go in for more than 2 or 3 levels of nested if else in your code. Okay, is that fine? Nested if else. After nested if else, what we are going to take a look at is switch case. Nothing much, same template as in we add in other languages. Switch is the keyword. Whatever choice that's coming in, it's a block. So open close parenthesis, case 1, and we'll log to the console, say x is 1. Then you'll have this break, which will break and take the statement outside the switch case. Let me remove these semicolons. Likewise, case 2, when it matches case 2, log to the console, x is 2, and then break. We also have this default. What is that? We are going to log here. X is not matching anything, matching, and then we'll break. Now let's run this. Control Alt N. Let's see what is the output for us. So what should be the output here? X is 2. So we are giving 2 here. So it matches case 2, and that's the output. So you can also have this default between two case statements like this. This is also allowed. No issues. You can still run the code. Will switch case work with strings? Will switch case work with strings? Here we'll take up a string. Let's say Satish is a string, and switch of x. Now when it matches Satish, what we are going to say, x is Satish. That's it. Default x is not matching. Maybe here we have to give Ram. When it matches Ram, we can say x is Ram. So we can also use switch case with an string. If we just give one character to it's a string, so it's going to work fine. So what is the output we are getting? X is Satish here. I think this is not possible in C. We can't use switch case with a string in C. Switch case also we have done. Are you guys following? Is life interesting or very boring? I don't get any feedback. What else we are going to see next? We will dive into arrays. Let's move to arrays in JavaScript. How we declare an array in JavaScript? The norm is they are going to use the constant keyword. It's not mandatory, but you can always use the constant keyword x. You just open two brackets and then you can give the array elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Array index starts from 0, and you can access an array element by using the index x of I, x of 0, x of 1. You'll be able to do that. It's not only this, JavaScript also supports this. You can have multiple data types inside your array like this 2.14. This is allowed, no issues. Since we are starting off, we'll have elements of the same type to avoid any confusion. We'll take up this. And we have declared an array. Now, how you can print the data inside the array, you can go with index access like this, x of 0. So when you run this code, you'll be able to see that. Let me clear the output. So it's going to print 1 because in index 0 you have 1. Now, we know how to declare an array. Next, how to use for loop to print the data inside the array. For let I equal 0, we are going to run an loop here. I less than x dot length. Length is number of elements inside your array and then I plus plus. Nothing new, the same thing what you did, console.log x of I. Save it and then you run this, you'll be able to see the output to the side. So you start off with a variable. Here it is having block scope, let I is equal to 0. You cannot access I outside the for loop. I less than array dot length I plus plus. So it runs from I from 0 to the index 5. It prints all the elements. Are you all clear with the simple for loop in JavaScript? Not only that, you also have loops like the enhanced for loop you learned in Java. I will show you one more loop, that is for in loop. What is the use of for in loop? It will again iterate and it will print the elements, but it's more simple. Say we can go with for. We can take a variable I in x and open close console log x of I. So now we are not giving those conditions, right? I less than x dot length, all those things. Now I will vary from the index 0 to index 5 and x of 0 to 5 will be printed. Let's run this. Control Alt 10. Okay, got the output. Maybe it looks simple than giving all the conditions I less than x dot length and things like that. There's one more loop called the for of loop in JavaScript. This exactly matches the enhanced for loop in Java. So how you can print all the data here is for, say, let the variable be j in x, j of x. It's a for of loop, and you will just do a console log. You give just the value j. I mean just the variable j. You're not accessing it using the index. What will happen here is it will take 1, assign it to j, print 1. It will take 2, assign it to j, print 2. So now we are not printing it using the indices, we are just using j. So let's run this, Control Alt 10. So you're able to see the output here. So what are the loops we have learned? For loop, for in loop, for off loop. The next concept we learn is while loop. We forgot this famous while loop we have. How do you use a while loop? You can go with some variable here, let x to be equal to 1 and while x less than 3. What we can do is we can just console log it. Okay, this array declaration, redeclaration is not allowed. That's why I had that error. Console log, what we'll do is we will do x and then we'll increment x plus plus. Simple while loop, but you have to see to that there is a condition for breaking the loop, or else the chances are you'll end up in an infinite loop. So you'll be able to see the values printed. What we output here? 1 and 2. Do we have a do while loop in JavaScript? Yes, you have a do while loop. What is a do while loop? It first run the code and then it check for the condition. So even if your condition is wrong, the output will be there for you at least once. So you're going to get do and then we'll have this variable again, let x equal to 1 and we'll log the console for the value x and then we'll perform x plus plus. What is the condition? On exit we'll be checking the condition while x is less than 3. That's it. This semicolon, I don't know, somehow it comes. Let's run this. So while, do while, for loop, for in, for off, everything is done. I'll just give a small intro to array functions and then we'll wind up. I'm not going to discuss all the array functions here. The array functions or methods are very simple. What kind of array methods you have? You have a lot of array methods like sorting an array, reversing an array. You can reverse an array, you can slice an array, splice an array, you can join an array, you can convert an array to string. All methods you have, you can also push elements to the end of the array, you can pop elements from the end of the array. So all these things you have. We also have index of. Why did you use index of in Java? So this returns the index after searching the items in the array. Whatever item that matches, that comes first, the index will be returned. Likewise, you have last index of. Last index of is going to search the array from the end. And so these things we are going to see, and I'm not going to go through all of them here with demonstrations. Let me just show one demonstration. X is equal to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can very well perform x dot push. I can perform pushing an element 7, which will be pushed to the end. Now we'll just console log the entire array like this. Let's not use a loop. Let's run this. So you'll be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the end. So you can push elements to the end using dot push. Likewise, if I want to pop this 7 out, or if I want to pop this 6 out, what you have to do? You have to just give x dot pop. It's a method, so you have to use the parenthesis. Run this, and the element 6 will be popped. The entire array will be returned. Maybe I'll put up some demonstrations, put up some lectures wherein you can see the demo on array methods. We'll continue with functions. I thought of completing functions too in this class, but due to time consideration was not able to complete. We'll continue in the lab classes. Any questions so far? You're finding JavaScript easy? Okay, thank you.